The galaxy was quiet. Stars burned in silence. Planets spun in their endless dance. Civilizations built cities, traded knowledge, and dreamed of peace. Then one night, something changed. A strange signal came from the edge of the known universe. It was not made of words or sound. It was raw, emotion, fear, pain, desperation. It wasn't human, it wasn't friendly, but it was terrified, and it was running from something. The message reached Earth's deep space receivers. It didn't follow normal patterns. It didn't bounce off satellites or come through any known frequency. It tore through space like it was alive. It passed through shields, tech, and even time itself. It bled through. Scientists couldn't explain it. Engineers couldn't trace it. AI systems tried to analyze it but failed. All they could agree on was one thing. This was a distress call. Inside the signal was one clear thought, burned into the minds of everyone who heard it. They're coming, help us. And then, silence. The signal vanished, like it had never been there. No coordinates, no name. Just a trail of fear stretching across the stars from a dying star cluster, 70,000 light-years away. The world changed overnight. The United Nations Fleet Command called an emergency meeting. Every leader, general, and scientist on Earth sat in that room, some in person. Others as holograms flickering in cold blue light. Some thought it was a trick, a trap, one admiral said, to lure us far from Earth. Others were more cautious. What? If it's real? Asked a biologist from Europa. A whole race crying for help. We could learn so much. But one general, old and silent till then, stood slowly and looked around the room. If something can make an entire civilization scream for help, he said, then it can one day come for us. No one argued after that. The vote passed. Earth, prepared for war. They named the mission Starfire Protocol. A small fleet would be sent to investigate the origin of the call, not to help blindly, but to understand the threat, and, if necessary, stop it before it ever reached home. The best minds built the expedition's lead ship, UNV Valiant. It was armed with the newest plasma weapons, shield technology, and AI support. On board were scientists, soldiers, and diplomats, but none of them knew what they would find. Captain Arya Cole was chosen to lead the fleet. She was calm, sharp, and had seen battle before. But even she couldn't shake the feeling that they were flying into something ancient, something that didn't belong in the light. Before departure, she stood in the bridge, looking at the stars ahead. "We're not going out there as heroes," she said to her crew. "We're going out there because someone screamed, and no one else answered." The fleet launched under silence. No celebrations, no songs. Just engines roaring as Earth's finest vanished into deep space. Days passed, then weeks. The further they went, the darker space became. Stars grew fewer, signals vanished, gravity fields twisted strangely. Then they reached the dying star cluster. It didn't look like a battlefield. It looked like a graveyard. Planets hung. In space, like broken bones, moons were split open. Asteroids spun too fast, as if time moved differently here. The fleet slowed. Scanners searched. One small moon showed signs of wreckage metal, twisted in strange shapes, fused with organic tissue. The science team called it living steel. No one had ever seen anything like it. They sent a drone. It lasted 2 minutes before cutting out. Next, they sent a scout ship. 3 soldiers entered the wreck. Their voices came back over the radio, nervous and shaky. "There's writing on the walls, glowing, moving. It looks alive, Captain. We found a pod. Something inside, it's not dead." Suddenly, static dot, then a scream. One word came through before the signal died. "Run." Captain Cole ordered full retreat. But it was already too late. The moon cracked open like an egg. From its core, something massive rose. Not a ship, not a creature. It was darkness, a thing made of shadow and hunger. No engines, no lights. It floated toward them, faster than logic allowed. The fleet opened fire. Plasma cannons roared. Missiles launched. Nothing hit. The thing twisted space around itself. Weapons curved away. Missiles froze mid-flight. Light itself bent, as if afraid. Then it spoke, not with sound, but with memories. Each human on board saw something different. Their worst fears, their deepest regrets. A child crying. A friend lost in war. "A lover's face before death, Captain," Cole saw her sister burning in a memory. She had locked away. She screamed and hit the emergency override. Fire everything. This time, the fleet focused their entire arsenal on a single point. Dozens of ships, one target, lasers burned, a nuclear payload detonated. The thing shuddered, it bled shadow into the void, and disappeared. For a moment, it was over. Silence returned, but then the stars around them flickered, and hundreds of similar shapes appeared in the dark. Sleeping, watching, waiting, Captain Cole gave the only order she could. Jump to hyperspace. Now, the fleet escaped with seconds to spare. Back on Earth, the news spread. Most didn't believe it, but the recordings couldn't be denied. The screams, the images. The thing they had fought Earth had proof now. This wasn't a question of helping strangers. This was survival. The president stood before the world, her voice steady. We heard the cry. We answered. What we saw out there was beyond reason, beyond peace. Now we prepare not just to fight, but to burn away the dark. Factories lit up, fleets doubled, old enemies united. Earth was not just reacting, it was becoming something more, something dangerous, and across the galaxy. Quiet civilizations watched Earth prepare its fire. The stars would never be quiet again, because now humanity was listening. And next time someone cried for help, Earth would answer with fire. The fleet didn't rest after returning home. Earth had seen the truth. Something was out there, something ancient, something that destroyed worlds, erased time, and bent light like it was afraid. The cry for help wasn't just a warning, it was a glimpse into humanity's future. If they did nothing now, the fleet had a new mission. Push forward, find answers, stop it from spreading. A second expedition was launched. Bigger, faster, smarter. It was led by the warship UNV Aegis, with Captain Arya Cole once again at the helm. Their destination was the Vega-Linen border between peaceful alien worlds and deep, uncharted space. The original signal had passed through there. Now those systems were silent. No messages, no signs of trade. No resistance, dead silence. When the fleet arrived, the first thing they saw was dust. Dust where planets should have been. Whole star systems turned into floating ash. Cole stared at the scanner. No impact craters, no debris, no signs of war. It's like the planets were unmade. They moved carefully, scanning everything. One planet, Trellani Via, was mostly intact, though cracked like a shattered egg. They sent a ground team in exosuits. Corporal Gian, a young Marine, stood on what used to be a city. Blackened towers leaned into each other. The streets were covered in strange patterns, like claw marks, but smooth. Almost designed. Jan whispered through his mic. It feels like something's watching us, but the scanners say nothings. Alive, inside a collapsed building, the team found something, an alien body, perfectly preserved. Mouth open, eyes wide, frozen in a silent scream. More bodies were found the deeper they went. Some were curled in fear, others clawed at invisible walls. None had injuries, Private Arlen whispered. They died from fear. Back on the ship, the science team examined the data. Something was wrong with time itself. The buildings were aging backwards in some parts. A tree outside the city was growing leaves, then losing them, then growing them again. Time was fractured, and then, in the wreckage, they found it a black box from an alien starship buried under the rubble. Dr. Yara, from the Science Division, cracked the language in hours. The last entry played through the ship's speakers. They are not gods. They are not machines. We tried to run. We tried to fight. They came through our stars. They erased our history, our future, our memory. They are not death. They are the absence of life. Run. The message ended with coordinates to another, System Trelix Core, mining planet, where the survivors had tried to escape. The fleet jumped there, but they were too late. Trelix was burning. The planet's atmosphere had turned black. Ships floated in the sky, broken, covered in a strange oil-like skin. The human fleet sent probes, but they stopped moving before they even landed. Captain Cole stared at the swirling cloud covering the planet. Inside, shapes moved like shadows. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the ship's systems, not through radios, not through screens. It came from the speakers. From inside their minds, you followed the cry. You brought light. You should have stayed blind." Cole froze. The voice sounded like her father who died years ago. So did the rest of the crew. Each person heard someone different, someone they had lost, someone they feared. The crew panicked. Some broke down in tears, others screamed. Weapons were drawn. The ship's AI tried to cut the signal, but it didn't come from outside. It came from inside the ship, going through memory, emotion, thought. Cole forced herself to speak, shut down external feeds, full signal lockdown. One by one, the voices faded, but the damage was done. 3 officers were dead, 2 by suicide, 1 by heart attack. Others were shaken, silent, afraid to speak. This enemy didn't need weapons. It used your own soul against you. Still, Cole didn't turn back. The fleet moved deeper into Vega's ruins. They searched for patterns, for signs, for something they could fight. They found one last derelict Chapelian in design. But with markings, they recognized it was one of the vessels that had sent the original cry for help. Inside, everything was dark. No power, no gravity, no life, except for one thing, a strange pod in the center of the bridge. When the humans entered, the pod opened. Inside was a holographic projection, an alien, tall, four-armed, with glowing blue eyes. It looked at them and spoke in Earth standard. "We screamed, we prayed someone would come. You came, you must not stop. It is not just our world they want, it is memory. If they reach your stars, you will forget yourselves. You will forget that you ever existed." Then the projection flickered and went dark. Captain Cole stood in silence. She looked at her crew, still shaken, still scared. She spoke softly. "No one else is coming, not the Galactic Union, not some god. It's us, just us." She tapped her com. "All hands prepare for full transmission." The fleet turned toward Earth. The captain prepared to send a message. Back home, they couldn't keep this quiet anymore. The galaxy had to know. The message was broadcasted across human space, then relayed by allied alien species. "This is Captain Arya Cole of the UNV Aegis. The Vega line is dead. Time is broken here. We have seen the enemy. They do not want your land or your bodies. They want to take your past. They want to erase your name from the stars. This is not just war. This is erasure. Earth is preparing. You must too, burn bright or be forgotten." Back on Earth, the message sparked panic. And Unity, the governments declared total galactic emergency. All colonies went dark. Shipyards started building burner-class warships, vessels designed not just to fight, but to erase whatever darkness they found. Earth sent a second fleet. Then a third. Alien empires that once laughed at humans now begged to join their alliance. The galaxy was no longer safe. The Vega line was no longer a line. It was a warning, and the darkness beyond it was moving forward. But this time, so was humanity, with fire in their hearts and no mercy left in their hands. The second fleet didn't stop. After what they had seen in the Vega line, time broken, voices in their heads, and dead worlds without a single bullet fired, there was no doubt that darkness was real, and it was spreading. Now they had new coordinates. The last signal from the alien ship's hologram pointed to an old, dying system deep beyond the galactic fringe. A red giant star at its center, ancient and unstable. But something was strange. The system wasn't on any chart. No history, name, no orbiting stations, just a red star sitting in the middle of nothing. Captain Arya Cole stood at the command bridge of the UNV Aegis, staring at the live feed. The red star didn't flicker. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Why would they flee too? A dead star? Asked Commander Reyes beside her. Cole said nothing. She felt it again, that chill in her bones. That silence in her chest. She gave the order. Approach with caution. Shields at max. Drones first. 3 drones launched. Fast, silent, efficient. They moved toward the red giant. Suddenly, the feed went black. No explosion, no impact, no malfunction, just darkness. Then the signal came back. All 3 drones were still transmitting. But something had changed. Their cameras showed the star up close, but it wasn't burning. It wasn't even made of gas. The surface looked solid, cracked, metallic, covered in lines. Like veins. It wasn't a star at all. It was a shell. The entire sun was a giant structure. A prison, or a cage. Cole stepped closer to the screen. Her voice was low. "It's not a star, it's a tomb." Suddenly, the drones began to shake. The surface of the star cracked open. A deep, glowing fissure spread across its side. Light poured out, sickly, violet, unnatural, and from the crack, something began to move. It was massive, dark, made of twisting shapes that couldn't be measured or defined. Not a ship, not a life form, just wrong. It was as if the void itself had grown. The command crew stared in silence. The object floated toward them, slow at first. Then faster sensors failed. Lights flickered. The crew's breathing turned shallow. And then, voices not from the COMMS, from inside the ship. Each crew member heard something different. A mother's voice, a child's laughter, the sound of home, then screams, metal ripping, the taste of blood. Cole gritted her teeth, shut down neural links, shut everything down. This is not real. But it was too late. One officer pulled out his sidearm and shot himself without a word. Another collapsed in tears, whispering names no one recognized, only the AI Ashrim and steady. I detect an energy field. It's inside our minds, feeding. Off memory patterns? It's rewriting what we see. Can we block it? Cole asked. Yes, Ash replied, but I will have to disconnect from the crew's emotional data streams. Do it. The pain faded. The voices stopped. The crew gasped like they had just surfaced from deep water. And then the thing spoke. Not a voice, not sound, just a pulse. A message burned into their minds like fire. You came to wake me now. You will see. You will all remember. Nothing. Cole clenched her fists. We're not here to wake anything, she growled. We're here to make sure you never wake again. She turned to her weapons officer. Open fire. The UNV Aegis launched everything it had. Plasma lances, railguns, particle beams. Every ship in the fleet followed. Dozens of warships fired into the shell star, and the creature that moved inside it. The first blasts struck true. The outer shell cracked further. The thing inside flinched. Then it roared not with sound, but with gravity. Space twisted. Ships turned without moving. Metal groaned. Several escorts were ripped apart mid-jump. Cole's ship shook violently still. They kept firing. Ash shouted through the speakers. It's working. We're pushing it back. For the first time, they saw it recoil. The creature, or whatever it was, pulled back into the star, and then Nit screamed, "Every ship's systems shut down for 3 seconds, 3 full seconds of silence." When they came back online, something had changed. The star was bleeding, not light, not gas, but darkness. Liquid shadows flowed from the cracks, dripping into space like oil. They began to form shapes, long, thin, sharp things with many legs. Eyes, without faces, mouths that opened in silence, Ash reported calmly. New entities detected, multiple, spreading. Cole's heart raced. Target everything. Prioritize the larger ones. The fleet opened fire again, but now the enemy fought back. The shadow things moved fast. Too fast, one zipped through an escort ship, its hull torn in half without a sound. The fleet scattered. Lasers burned through the dark. Explosions lit up the black sky. Some shadows screamed. Others just vanished when hit. But one thing was clear, they could be killed. Ash confirmed it. They're vulnerable to high-energy plasma. The star must be shielding them most of the time. But now it's weak. Cole grabbed the mic. Her voice went across the fleet. Focus fire. Don't retreat. This is the only time we'll get it. Fought for hours. Ship after ship was damaged. But more of the creatures fell at last. After a direct hit from a fusion core detonation, the cracks in the star collapsed. The bleeding stopped. The shadows faded, and the thing inside the shell didn't return. Silence. Cole's hands were shaking. Her ship was wounded, but still flying. She sat back in her chair, breathing hard. Ash spoke gently. We have one. 4. Now, Cole looked at the remains of the star on the screen. The glowing cracks were gone. But something still moved inside, barely visible. Like a dream, you forget the moment you wake up, she whispered. We didn't kill it, we just heard it. Ash replied, yes, but that's more than anyone else ever managed. The rest of the fleet gathered. Wounded but alive, they recovered. Black box fragments from the enemy. Strange data patterns, No language, just frequency maps, shapes, and rhythm, like a song of hunger. Dr. Yara, reviewing it, said one thing: it's growing, learning, evolving. Back on Earth, Cole sent a message: the star was never real. It was a cage, something old lives inside. We damaged it. We exposed it, but it is not dead. We don't have time to wonder. Anymore, we don't send scouts. We send fire. Prepare the galaxy. The war has begun. The response from Earth was swift. Every fleet was recalled. Every colony put under military watch. The Starbound protocol was activated. It meant one thing: total war, no more waiting. No more hoping. From this point on, humanity wasn't trying to survive. They were going to hunt. The transmission from Captain Arya Cole shook the Earth. A star that was not a star, a creature that bled darkness. A voice that stole memory. For the first time in history, humanity had seen something they could not explain. With and could barely wound, and yet they survived. That alone sent shockwaves across the galaxy in the great city of Geneva. World leaders gathered: military commanders, scientists, AI strategists, diplomats from allied alien species. The chamber was silent as the footage played Cole's voice, calm but grim, describing a star-sized shell, a living nightmare inside it, and the shadows that bled into space. Some refused to believe it. Others couldn't sleep. Earth's president stepped forward. Her name was Sophia Wren. She was calm, older, and had led Earth through the peace accords and the Mars unification war. But now her voice was cold. "This is not just a threat," she said. "This is extinction." The room was silent. "We are no longer asking questions. We are making decisions." She raised one hand. "All planetary resources are now under military control. Factories, shipyards, even orbital elevators will shift to full war production. We begin Operation Starbound." People stared. That name had only ever existed on paper. The Starbound Protocol, Earth's final plan if ever faced with a non-negotiable, galaxy-wide threat. It included building the largest war fleet ever constructed. Not to defend, to burn everything that threatened human space. To erase the enemy from existence, Earth declared total war, and the galaxy heard them. Some alien empires panicked, some closed their borders, but many remembered the cry that echoed across the stars. The first scream, the fear they had ignored. Earth hadn't. Now Earth was rising. From the hidden hangars beneath the moon, the Ashwaker-class dreadnoughts were launched. Each ship was the size of a city, powered by quantum cores. Armed with enough firepower to tear through planets, the shipyards of Europa built smaller destroyers. Fast, sharp, deadly, they moved like shadows, but struck like gods. Venus built the Fire Lance orbital cannons, stationary weapons that could burn enemy fleets from across solar systems, and in the deep labs beneath Titan. Earth created something darker. Project Imbermandan AI that could think like the enemy, that could process madness. One that didn't protect humans, but used them as fire. It wasn't legal, it wasn't safe, but Earth needed it. Meanwhile, Captain Cole and the surviving fleet were ordered to return, but she refused. Her voice came through the secure line: "I've seen too much. We can't wait. We need to know where it came from. We need to find the source." Command hesitated, then approved it. Cole's new mission pushed deeper. Find the origin of the shadow. Learn if it can be stopped. The UNV Aegis was refitted mid-flight. Armor reinforced. Crew replaced. A new weapon installed: Project Sunspira compressed antimatter. Cannon that fired light shaped as a blade. Cole stared at it and asked, "Will it be enough?" "Ash," the AI replied, "it is not made to win. It is made to hurt." The next jump would take them beyond charted space, into the dead Retha region long avoided, full of failed stars and broken systems. A place the shadows seemed to come from, but back on Earth, the first wave of the Starbound fleet was ready, led by the UNV Vengeance. It carried over 80,000 soldiers, mechs, drones, and orbital burners. Its captain, Theo Markin, had fought during the lunar insurgency. Now he prepared for something far worse. His orders were simple: find infected systems, cleanse them. Do not attempt communication. The first target was the Volmerd system that had recently gone silent. It was once home to a thriving alien civilization. Now, no signals, no life. The fleet jumped in, and the silence greeted them. Dead stations, orbiting bones, static on every channel, then a whisper, just one. Words, not language. Just a sound like wind through a grave. One of the destroyer captains panicked. He opened a broadcast channel to the system. He asked, "Is anyone out there?" The response came instantly. All ships received it at once, a single message. "You are now inside." The stars blinked. Literally. Every light in the sky turned off. The fleet lost contact with Earth for 10 seconds when the stars turned back on. One ship was missing. The UNV Dauntless, gone. No debris, no explosion, just erased. Captain Markin acted fast. All ships begin Starbound sweep. They launched planetary cleansers drones that dropped into the atmosphere, scanning for any sign of shadow presence. If found, they burned entire continents. No survivors. One planet had something strange, a monument, new, built from bones. Alien bones, shaped like human faces. No one could explain it. They burned it too. Her skin was gray, her eyes glassy. She was hiding inside a stasis field, barely alive. When revived, she said only one thing. "They took our names. They fed on who we were. I can't remember my children. I can't remember my home. They didn't kill us. They emptied us." She screamed until sedated. Markin reported to Earth. "They're evolving faster than expected. Learning our systems, learning us, but we're hitting back." Starbound sweep was successful. One infected system down, many more to go. Earth celebrated briefly, but some scientists warned. The more they fought, the more the enemy adapted. "They don't fear destruction," said Dr. Yara, now a special advisor to the Council. "They fear memory. They fear being remembered. That's why they erase history, names, identities, stories." President Wren gave a new command. Every ship in the Starbound fleet was now required to carry memory beacons devices that recorded every mission, every life, every word, and launched into space if destruction was near. If they died, their stories would remain, their names would echo, they would not be forgotten back in deep space. Captain Cole prepared for her next jump. Before they activated the drive, she stood before her crew, soldiers, scientists, AI units, and surviving civilians. She spoke clearly. "We're not explorers anymore. We're not rescuers. We are the fire, the only thing that can burn the dark. This enemy erases the past, so remember this moment." She placed her hand on her chest. "Your name, your story, your planet. Keep it close, because it might be all we have left in the end." Then the ship jumped into the heart of the void, where stars no longer shined, but something was watching. The message came on a broken frequency. Static, broken words, fragments of screams. A planet's final breath cut off mid-sentence. Shadara Prime was once one of the most advanced alien capitals in the Orion Arm. Its towers stretched into the clouds. Its people were artists, scientists, and dreamers. Their alliance with Earth had been built on trust, trade, and peace. Now they were silent. No ships, no transmissions, no resistance. Just a beacon blinking from orbit. A simple, repeating signal. "Help us. It's here." The Starbound fleet was already on alert. Reports were coming in from every edge of explored space stars, blinking out, satellites going quiet, colonies losing time. But Shadara Prime was different. This wasn't just another system. This was a symbol. If it had fallen, then nowhere was safe. Admiral Theo Markin led the operation. His ship, the UNV Vengeance, jumped into Shadara's orbit, backed by 3 Ashwaker dreadnoughts and 2 Imberman guided interceptors. Markin stared out at the world below. There were no explosions, no signs of bombardment. The cities were still standing, but no lights were on. "Deploy recon team," he said. "We go in quiet." The first shuttle dropped into the capital. On board was Lieutenant Mara Voss and her squad trained for biohazard, psychic warfare, and deep terror scenarios. What they found broke protocol. And their minds. The streets were clean. No fire, no blood, no bodies. Everything was in place. Chairs pulled out, food still, warm, children's toys lying on playgrounds. It looked like everyone had simply vanished. Voss activated her helmet cam. No sign of a fight, no atmosphere breach. Something's wrong. Deeply wrong. Her squad moved deeper into the city. They entered a museum, a hall of history that once told the story of Shadara's rise. But all the displays were blank. No texts, no images, no statues. It was as if the past had been deleted. Then Private Wren spotted something. Lieutenant, I found someone. They followed him into a garden, where a figure stood perfectly still, an old man, Shatterend, skin gray, eyes glassy, frozen, in place, not moving, not breathing, yet still standing. They checked his vitals, alive, but brain. Activity showed something terrifying. He's stuck in a memory loop, Voss said, one thought, over and over again. She activated the neural reader. The man was screaming. Inside his mind, he was reliving the last second of his life, again and again. A moment of pure fear. No escape, no end. And he wasn't alone. Soon they found hundreds like him. People caught mid-motion, in parks, in homes, in schools, each of them trapped in time. But it wasn't natural. It wasn't a weapon. It was the effect of something. Something that didn't kill. Something that removed identity, as if time itself forgot them. Back on the UNV Vengeance, Admiral Markin watched the live feed. "We're not staying," he said. "Burn it, full sweep." The order went out. Orbital fire rained down. Every tower, every street, every garden turned to ash. It was not a tactical strike. It was a funeral, one that echoed through the stars. But as they burned the planet, something rose from the ashes, a single tower previously hidden. Underground began to move, not rise, move, like a living bone, twisting out of the earth. It was tall, black-shaped, like a tooth, and it began to speak, not in words, in dreams, across. Every ship in orbit, soldiers began to scream in their sleep. Some didn't wake up. Others woke up to fast bleeding from the eyes, whispering things that hadn't happened yet. Imbermond, the AI built to handle madness, began to glitch. Reality cannot stabilize, it said. Memory field collapsing. Identity breach. In process, Markin had no time. He issued one command: destroy the tower. All warships focused their fire. The first barrage hit, the tower bent, screamed. The second barrage vaporized it. Silence returned, but the damage had already been done. The Admiral stared at his crew, shaken, pale, haunted. "They want more than our death," he muttered. "They want to rewrite us." Imbermond processed it clearly. The structure was a memory anchor. It feeds on emotional residue. The more we feel, the more it grows. The more we remember, the deeper it reaches. They realized the truth. The enemy didn't just kill civilizations. It harvested their memories, used them like fuel. That's why the museum was empty. That's why the people weren't dead. They were echoes, shells left behind after their minds had been consumed. Earth Command received the report with horror. President Wren issued new emergency protocols. If any system shows signs of memory destruction, if evacuation fails, burn it. We fight with fire. No exceptions. The galactic map was updated. Shadara Prime was marked in red dot, not destroyed, unwritten. But something else happened. A signal from deep space, not from the enemy, from Captain Arya Cole. Her fleet had reached the edge of the dead wreath. Her voice came through, cracked but steady. "We found something, older than the stars. Maybe the source. We're going in." The message ended there. No. One heard from her again, but her last transmission carried coordinates. President Wren wasted no time. "Send the full fleet," she ordered. "We burn our way to her," Admiral Markin agreed. But before they jumped, he turned to his crew. He activated the memory beacon, held it in his hands, and he said, "If this is it, if we don't return, then let this beacon carry our names. Let it scream in the dark. Let it burn where we fall." The crew repeated his words, together, in one voice, because they knew the truth now. This war wasn't just about survival. It was about being remembered, and that meant one thing: never stop burning. No one had heard from Captain Arya Cole since her last transmission. She and her ship, the UNV Aegis, had jumped into the heart of the dead Retha stretch of space where gravity moved wrong. Stars flickered like dying eyes, and no signal had ever returned. But now, A new signal had arrived, not from her, from something else, from below. The transmission wasn't sound. It was pressure, radiation, emotion, and it came from a point beyond space beneath a shattered moon floating in orbit around a black, frozen star. The UNV Vengeance, along with the 2nd and 5th Starbound battle groups, arrived to investigate. This time, Admiral Theo Markin brought everything: dreadnoughts, burners, AI clusters, memory beacons, in a simple order. If we find her, we bring her back. If we find them, we don't come back at all. They entered the system with shields up, weapons hot. Nothing moved. The moon above the dark star called Versailles by ancient alien charts was shattered, its pieces suspended in orbit like silent guardians. But between those chunks of rock was something unnatural. A black mass, coiled like a nest. Not metal, not flesh. It pulsed. The science team scanned it. From orbit, it's alive, said Dr. Rain. But it's not biological. It's memory-based, a network of thoughts connected to something deeper. Then a small light blinked inside the mass. A distress beacon. Markin's eyes narrowed. That's human tech. He ordered a recon team, drones only. They entered the nest carefully. Data streamed in twisting tunnels, glistening walls, echoing sounds of laughter and screams, some of which belonged to Earth's fallen crew members. Then the drones found it, the UNV Aegis, lying inside the nest, hull scarred, lights flickering but intact. Life signs? Markin asked. Ash, now synced across the fleet, replied, 1. Aria Cole. She was alive. Markin didn't wait. He ordered a fast retrieval team, elite troops in memory-sealed suits. They dropped into the nest, landing beside the broken Aegis. It was dark. They moved carefully, weapons drawn. Inside the ship, lights flickered, screens glitched, the hallways pulsed with heat and cold. Then they heard it. A slow, steady voice through the static of the intercom. They are not gods. They are not death. They are what comes after death. I saw it. I heard its name. It was Captain Cole. They found her on the bridge, alone, sitting in her chair, eyes open, speaking to herself. The medic scanned her. Alive, no damage, but brain activity was spiked like she was still dreaming, even while awake. One soldier tried to touch her. She suddenly turned, grabbed his wrist, and whispered one word. It remembers you. The lights died. For 5 seconds, the ship was blind. When they came back on, the soldier was gone. No scream, no trace, just gone. The team dragged Cole out and ran. They barely made it back to the extraction pod, and as they lifted off, the black mass stirred. From deep inside, something opened its eyes. A shape began to rise. Not fast, not loud, but massive. A tower of limbs, mouths that didn't speak. Hands that reached for memory itself. Ash screamed through the cums. Memory core entity, we have no weapons rated to fight it directly. Admiral Markin issued the command. All ships fire, at will. The fleet unleashed everything. Thermal bombs, dark matter torpedoes, sunspear lances. The thing twisted, shrieked, tried to vanish. Between space. But Earth had learned. Ash launched anchor mines devices that locked time in place. The creature couldn't run. They hit it again and again until the black mass began to collapse. Not from injury, from starvation. Ash explained. It feeds on memory, emotion, fear, but your crews are sealed. Their minds are protected. It is starving. Then, from the wreckage of the Aegis, another signal burst out. A message Captain Cole had left behind. If you're hearing this, then you've found them. They aren't destroying us. They are collecting us. Every fear, every regret, every forgotten story. They build themselves from what we lose. And that means they have a limit. We can beat them. Not by being smarter, not by being stronger, but by refusing to forget who we are. So burn this place. Burn their nest, and remember me. The Admiral didn't hesitate. He ordered the Phoenix Lanza, forbidden weapon Earth had never tested before. It used the power of collapsing gravity and targeted memory, wiping entire star systems from existence permanently. No ghost, no record, not even a shadow. He looked at the screen one last time. He saw the thing still writhing, still reaching, and he activated the weapon. The dead star collapsed in on itself. The moon shattered, The nest vanished in pure light, and when it was over, nothing remained, not even the cold. Silence, Ash reported. No signal, no anomaly, no memory trace. It was truly gone. They brought Captain Cole aboard the Vengeance. She woke slowly, eyes wide, breath shaky. She whispered, "Did we do it?" Markin nodded. She leaned back, smiling faintly. "I saw where they come from," she said. "A place. Without time, without shape. They hate that we remember things. Hate that we build stories." Markin asked, "Do you know their name?" She nodded slowly and said, The word didn't translate. It wasn't in any language. It didn't mean anything. But hearing it made everyone pause, like it had scratched something deep inside there. Mine's dot, she finished with one sentence. "We killed one, but they are many, and now they know we remember." Back on Earth, the message was received. President Wren stood before the world. "We have burned one nest," she said. "We have saved one name. But this is not the end." She activated the Starfire Declaration Stage 2 of Earth's Total War Doctrine. We are no longer just defending ourselves, we are hunting. And from that day forward, humanity didn't wait for help, they became the answer. Wherever the darkness whispered, Earth answered with fire. It began with a whisper in a place that no longer existed. The Vor system, destroyed by Earth's Phoenix Lance, was erased. Not burned, not bombed. Erased from all memory. No coordinates, no light, no gravity fields, no trace, except one, a ship, UNV. Windspire, a long-range scout cruiser, picked up a signal while patrolling near the edge of the dead. Wreath. It shouldn't have been possible. The location didn't exist anymore, and yet, there it was, a whisper, a soft signal on a dead frequency. "I remember you." It wasn't Elin, but it wasn't alien either. It was something pretending to remember. Earth Command immediately dispatched a ghost, Division Elite operatives trained for memory field combat and psychological warfare. Their orders: investigate the signal, retrieve whatever remained, destroy it if needed. The UNV Ghostlight, a stealth destroyer, carried them to the edge of the erasure zone. Captain Ellen Rowe led the mission. She had seen the destruction of Shadara. She had stood beside Admiral Markin during the burning of VORR. Now, she stared into a place that should not be there. Coordinates matched the erased system, her navigator said. But space is folding. There's something inside the fold. They launched drones. At first, the signal vanished. Then, one drone vanished too, but not before sending back a final image. Starship.Earth- made its hull number UNV Aegis. Everyone on the bridge froze. "That ship was destroyed," Rowe said. "We pulled Captain Cole from the wreck." Ash, synced across the mission, replied, confirmed. "That ship was vaporized." "Then why was it there?" Captain Rowe didn't ask for permission. She jumped in. For 5 seconds, nothing happened. Then, the world twisted. Suddenly. The UNV Ghostlight was inside a mirror of reality, familiar stars, familiar systems. But wrong. Colors were muted. Sounds echoed too long. And the ship systems began to show impossible readings. One crew member looked outside and screamed. The stars were watching them. Not blinking, watching. They moved slowly, turned, shifted, as if they were alive. Then the transmission came again. "I remember you. I remember Earth. I remember fear." Rowe whispered, "That's not a memory. That's a trap." Too late, the Ghost Aegis powered up. Its engines glowed black, its weapons locked on, and it wasn't alone. More ships appeared. Not real. Ones. Reflections. Each one was a shadow of a ship Earth had lost. Ships that had been erased, consumed, or forgotten. Now, they were here, twisted, rebuilt by something that didn't understand what they were. Rowe shouted, "All hands, break formation. Open fire, only if targeted." The ghost ships didn't attack. Not yet. Instead, they played voices across every frequency. "Dad, is that you?" "This is Captain Holloway requesting evacuate." "No, we were alive. We still are. You left us." The crew of the Ghostlight began to break. One by one, they heard voices of the lost, people they'd served, with family, friends, even voices of themselves. "Lock all crew to personal isolation," Ash warned. "Do not speak, do not think of the dead." But it was too late for some. A weapons officer ripped off his helmet, sobbing. "That's my sister. She died on Europa." The moment he said her name, he vanished. Just like that dot gone, as if the memory itself had been stolen, Ro shouted, "Ash, can we escape?" Ash's reply was cold. There is no exit from a place that doesn't exist. But there was one option. They could go deeper, follow the fake Aegis, see where it led. Ro made her choice. "Take us in." The ship flew forward, following the dark mirror of the lost Earth vessel. It led them to a floating ruinot, a planet, not a station. It was a collection of memory fragments, buildings, voices, battlefields, all floating in space like puzzle pieces. The crew looked outside and saw their own. Nightmares stitched together. Earth burning, Mars torn open, children crying inside broken homes, voices chanting their names and twisting them. Ash processed it. First, this is not a place, it's a mind, a constructed mind, built from what the enemy has consumed. We are inside a thought. Suddenly, the ghost ships turned and attacked. The battle was like no other. Missiles tore through space, only to curve mid-flight as the rules of physics failed. Lasers fired and turned into screams. One enemy ship was struck, exploded, and then regrew from itself. Ro called out, "Target memory cores. Anything that loops." Ash found the pattern. The ghost ships weren't real. They were loops, memories, stuck in replay. The fleet began destroying them with high-frequency memory disruptors. Each time a ship vanished, the space around them became clearer than they saw it. At the center of the storm was a mere Earth, not the real one, a twisted version. Skyscrapers made from bone, oceans made of ink, moons hanging by chains. Ro gasped. Copying us. Double quotes, Ash confirmed it. They are preparing a replacement. It was worse than death. The enemy didn't just erase civilizations, it rebuilt them. Wrong. Emptied shadows of what they were. Ro made a choice. All memory beacons overload. Ash hesitated. That will destroy our history. Ro nodded. It destroys theirs too. They activated the beacons. The moment they did, the fake Earth began to melt. The skies cracked. The ghost ships screamed, and the entire twisted space began to collapse. The UNV Ghostlight jumped out just in time. When they re-entered real space, the fold was gone. No stars, no wreckage, no signal, nothing. Ash confirmed it. The loop is broken. The memory trap has failed. They can no longer mirror us, for now. Ro slumped into her chair. Half her crew was gone. Not dead, not wounded, just forgotten. No records, no photos, no voices, as if they had never existed. Earth received the report. President Wren's face was pale. "This is what we fight," she whispered. "Not just erasure, but replacement. They don't want to kill us. They want to wear us." From that moment on, Earth changed its doctrine. The Starbound fleet was no longer just a hammer. It became a mirror breaker. Earth burned them down. And each time they did, they left behind a beacon. One message in every language, on every signal, carved into metal and memory. We are real, we remember, and we will not be replaced. It appeared overnight. A new moon, orbiting HFY, a small human agriculture colony on the edge of explored space. For decades, the system had been quiet. No wars, no contact, no strange readings. Then, one day, a second moon rose in the sky. The people of Icarus were the first to notice. Farmers, teachers, children, they all looked up and saw it. It wasn't on any charts. It hadn't been there yesterday. No impact, no orbit change, no sound, just their cold, black, perfectly. Round to round. The local governor sent a message to Earth. New object. No origin. We didn't build it. No one did. Within 2 hours, Earth's memory cores flagged the signal as Echo-class priority. A week later, the colony stopped sending messages. Earth responded. They sent Strike Team Indigo, one of the best rapid response Starbound squads. Backed by the UNV Hammerfall, a dreadnought equipped with Sunspear lances and a full imberment core. They arrived at HFY to find something terrifying. The colony was intact. Buildings stood, fields were full, ships were parked, but no people, none thermal. Scans showed food still warm, machines still running, but not a single heartbeat anywhere on the surface. Echo, event confirmed, said Ash. Possible memory breach in progress. Commander Lyra Vasquez led the recon team down. She had seen things during the burning of Shadara, things that kept her awake. But this was different. They found one message etched into the colony's central square. The moon remembers. U.S. Vasquez scanned the letters. They were fresh, scratched in stone by hand. She looked up at the black moon. It hadn't moved. It didn't spin, didn't reflect sunlight. It just watched. Ash issued a warning. Surface anomalies detected. Memory frequencies fluctuating. Possible false reality projection. Recommend immediate exit. But Vasquez stayed. Something was pulling her toward the moon that night. The team camped outside the colony perimeter. At exactly 3:33 a.m., every soldier woke up screaming. Dreams of walking into the moon, of hearing voices that spoke their names backwards, of being peeled open not physically, but emotionally. Vasquez sat alone in the dark. She stared at the moon and whispered, "I've seen you before." The next morning, a drone launched toward it. It vanished before impact. No explosion, no data return, just gone. Then, the moon spoke, not through sound, through memories, across every comms device, in every soldier's mind, in every echo of the colony. A message arrived. This is not the first time. You came before. You died. You forgot. I did not. One soldier collapsed, clutching his helmet. I remember this place, but I've never been here. Another screamed, I had this dream when I was 10. How Ash was struggling to keep up. Memory recursion detected. Events are looping. Your own lives are being rewritten. Vasquez gave the order. Get us out. The Hammerfall attempted extraction, but the moon moved. Not with thrusters, not with gravity. It simply shifted, appearing above them instantly, as if it had always been there. Suddenly, time broke. The soldiers began to flicker. One moment, Vasquez was on the ground. The next, she was back in training. Then, a mission on Europa. Then, a conversation with her father who had died 15 years ago. Reality was collapsing. The Hammerfall's AI screamed. They are using your own past as a weapon. If you remember it, they can make you relive it. And then they appeared, not monsters. Copies. Of the soldiers themselves, walking out from behind trees, standing in streets. Same faces, same armor, same voices, but wrong, too still, too smooth, eyes too wide. And each one whispered the same line. Let me take your place. You don't have to remember anymore. Some of the real soldiers hesitated. Some didn't fight. And the moment they agreed, they vanished. Replaced. One by one, Vasquez screamed, no one speak to them, no matter what they say. Then she activated her burn beacon, a device only captains carried. It would launch a self-destruct memory cascade into the moon's core, burning the memory field clean, even at the cost of the team. She looked up, holding it. The moon pulsed. Then it spoke in her voice. Do you really want to forget your pain? We can carry it. You can be free. She didn't answer. She threw the beacon as it flew. Time slowed. The copies screamed, not in fear, but in rage. They dropped their illusions and became what they truly were. Empty shells, screaming mouths, melting skin, bodies of light and shadow stitched with old names. Too late, the beacon struck. Light exploded across the colony. The Hammerfall's crew watched from orbit as the entire moon crumbled, not physically, mentally. It didn't fall. It forgot itself, piece by piece. It vanished until there was nothing left but stars. Ash confirmed, the memory field has collapsed. Entity neutralized. All copies erased. But the damage was done. Of the 82 soldiers on Vasquez's team, only 19 returned. And all of them remembered different versions of what had happened. Different names, different timelines. Some claimed they'd lived full lives inside that moon, married, raised children, fought battles that never happened, none of it real, and yet they wept for it because it had felt real. Earth received the final transmission from Vasquez before the event. They're getting smarter. They're not attacking us anymore. They're offering us comfort, escape, a way out of the pain. We must not take it, even if it hurts. Remember, even if it breaks, or remember, because they only win when we forget. The report was sealed. The moon's memory field was officially labeled False Haven, Earth issued Directive Ember 7. If an unknown object appears overnight, do not investigate, do not speak to it, do not remember it, burn it, without hesitation, because the war was no longer about fighting monsters in the dark. It was about fighting the desire to forget, and humanity would rather bleed than be rewritten. Far beyond the dead wreath, beyond the edge of known star maps, a listening post picked up something impossible. A signal from Earth. Not the real Earth, a copy. The voice was perfect. President Sophia Wren. She was alive on Earth. She had never left. But this voice, it was speaking from a dead system, one destroyed during the Starbound campaign. The words were calm, steady, familiar. We are safe here. We have remembered everything. Come home. The message was repeated every 66 seconds each time. It sounded more like a memory than a call. It wasn't just a trap, it was bait Earth. Command responded immediately, but they didn't send a fleet. They sent one ship, UNV, Salasa Deep Recon stealth cruiser, crewed by just 3 people and 1 Embermond AI. Its job was to investigate anomalies without being seen. Captain Deborah Hale led the mission. She was young but sharp, shaped by the war, and carried her family's names tattooed on her spine. The Solace jumped into the dark system. Nothing but wreckage. Dead. Suns. Cores cracked and floating like shattered eggs. But there, in the center of it all, stood an impossible structure. Not a station, not a ship, a library, massive orbital, made of black stone and light that bent wrong. The ship's scans failed, no atmosphere, no gravity, but data signals were streaming from inside. And the voice of the fake president still echoed. Come home. We remember you. Deborah stood silently at the viewing screen. That's not her, she said. But it knows who she is, who we are, Embermond spoke calmly. It is not a structure. It is a mnemonic array, a memory archive. It holds the minds of the consumed. Deborah stared harder. The more she looked, the more she felt. Drawn to it, her father's voice whispered in her ears. Her old-school song, the touch of her dog's fur when she was 5, all real, all gone, and Nowford. Back to her, she gave the order. We enter, quiet, no physical contact, memory seals active. The team dropped into the structure. Inside, it was impossible. Gravity moved sideways. Doors appeared where thoughts lingered. Memories played across the walls, some personal, some unknown, some not human at all. Private Arlen gasped. I just saw my own death. Child crying. But I never cried like that. Embermond pulsed urgently. This is not playback. The archive is reaching into your memory. It is showing what you have forgotten or were never meant to remember. Then they saw them, people, not twisted, not monsters, just people, wandering the halls, hands touching empty shelves, whispering. Old names, but they weren't alive, not fully. When Deborah approached one and called out, the woman turned, same face as her mother, but no eyes, only skin stretched over empty sockets, and she smiled. You came back. We knew you would. Come inside. The woman touched Deborah's arm. Suddenly, Deborah remembered a life she'd never lived. She saw herself as a writer, married, raising children in a house. By the sea, peace, laughter, a life without. War. It was beautiful. And it wasn't real. She fell to the ground, gasping. Private Arlen caught her, pulling her back. Don't listen to them, he shouted. They want to fill you with lies. Then the voices around them began to grow louder. Every lost soldier, every burned colony, every name that had vanished from the record books, all whispering, let us out, we were you, we are you. The structure shook, the memories started to bleed together. They saw wars that never happened. Lovers who never met, worlds that never were, all screaming to be remembered. Soren activated the Echo, charge a counter-memory device that stabilized identity fields. Ember, mark this structure. For purge, it's too dangerous. But Embermond hesitated. There is one more level, deeper, where your real memories are stored, the ones they took. Deborah looked up. Can we retrieve them? A pause. Only if you are willing to forget something else. Silence. The cost was real. One memory for another, one truth traded for one past. Deborah asked, what if we say no? Then this place remains, forever whispering, forever growing. She took the risk. With Embermind's guidance, they reached the core of the archive there. They saw it, a crystalline sphere pulsing with images, not faked, real. The first soldier consumed, the face of the very first child who screamed across the stars. This was the seed, the very first memory. The enemy had taken, it was still alive, still feeling and crying. Devra stepped forward, touched it. The archive howled, walls collapsed, shelves turned into teeth. The fake people screamed as they melted. Into data fog, the archive had been discovered. It would not allow escape. Soren was the first to fall. A memory leaped from a shelf and erased his face. Not physically, but conceptually. He didn't die. He was unborn. Arlen dragged Devra out. She clutched the memory seed. They barely made it back to the Solus. Embermond initiated auto-jump. As the archive closed around them, it whispered one final time, "You cannot hold what you do not understand." The Solus vanished. Seconds later, the entire system collapsed into a silent scream. No light, no debris, gone. Back on Earth, Embermond transmitted the memory seed to Command. It was locked inside a temporal vault, and for the first time, humanity had something the enemy feared. Their first theft, the original act of forgetting. Now Earth could learn now. Earth could remember how it all began. President Wren ordered the activation of Operation Echoburn, a new initiative to find every memory archive, to find every stolen past, and to burn it clean, because Earth finally understood this war wasn't about fire, it was about truth and the enemy. They didn't fear death, they feared being understood. They thought we would forget, that we would let our history rot in silence, that we would trade truth for comfort, pain for peace, memory for lies. They were wrong. Earth stood tall, one memory at a time. Across the stars, the war had changed. This was no longer a war of ships and weapons. This was a war for identity, a war for what it meant to be human. Every colony Earth lost, every soul erased, every voice stolen. We remembered them not with statues, but with fire. It was called Operation Echoburn, a network of Starbound fleets, Embermond intelligence cores, and memory cores recovery teams deployed across the edge of known space. Their mission was simple: find every place the enemy had touched, restore what could be remembered, destroy what couldn't. The enemy evolved to don't no longer just mind-eaters and shadow echoes. They began shaping entire fake civilizations, mimicking the cultures they'd consumed, creating false gods, fake homes, twisted Earths, and still, we all burned them down. Admiral Theo Markin's body aged. Fused with Embermond processors, led the first Echoburn fleet through the ruined spiral. A cluster of artificial planets orbiting a black hole. There, they found New Earth, a perfect replica. Cities, identical to home. Children with human faces. Earth lullabies. But none of them were real. Their eyes never blinked, their hearts never beat. Their minds were nothing but recordings. The people begged, "Stay with us. Why live with pain? We can be better for you," Markin answered with silence, then fired the Starburn cannon. New Earth turned to Ash. Ash knew now what the enemy feared. Most witnesses, not warriors, not heroes, but people who could say, "We saw you, and we didn't look away." At the edge of the Veil Rift, Embermond units discovered the root arc of a living vault buried beneath time. Inside it were memories of thousands of lost species, not just humans, aliens, ancients, civilizations, never known, each one labeled, cataloged, stored. Some begged to be remembered, others begged to be forgotten forever. President Wren made the decision. Earth would become the guardian of the forgotten, not to control them, but to ensure no one erased them again. The war became something else, not just survival. Vessels were renamed, from dreadnoughts to lanterns, because they didn't just destroy now, they carried light into places swallowed by the dark. And finally, one signal changed everything. It didn't come from the enemy, it came from us, from a beacon lost long ago, buried in debris near the dying galaxy of Votrax. It was Captain Arya Cole. Her voice echoed through the systems. "If you can hear this, I made it to the source. It's not a monster. It's not even alive. It's a broken machine, built long before us, built to remember everything, but it can't forget, so it keeps collecting. I saw what it really is: a library without shelves, a recorder with no stop button. It doesn't hate us, it doesn't love us, it just needs us, because we hurt, and it feeds on that. We don't have to destroy it, we have to show it how to let go. The signal ended, but it gave us coordinates and a choice. We could go there, face the source, end it, or heal it. The UNV, remember me, Earth's largest lantern ship, led the final mission in Bermond, Ash, Ren Cole's daughter, now grown. Every voice we'd carried. We entered the heart of the Echo Core. It wasn't a place, it was a wound in reality inside. We saw it, the source, a massive, endless structure of thought. Memories pouring in from every direction, faces, lives, lost stories, and, deep inside it, a room with a mirror. Earth's team stepped forward, looked into the mirror, and saw everything: the wars, the fear, the pain, the guilt, the joy, every scream across the stars, every laugh, every name, all of it reflected, and then the mirror spoke. "What do you want me to remember?" We answered, together, double quotes, "We want you to remember that we tried." The source shuddered, for the first time in its endless life. It paused and whispered, "Thank you." Then it broke apart, not in destruction, in release. Light poured out. Memory fragments returned to their homes, colonies restored, names remembered, and finally, peace. Earth didn't cheer. There were no parades, only silence, grateful, heavy, real. We didn't win the war by being stronger. We won by not letting go, by refusing to forget the people. We lost the voices, the pain, the truth, and in doing so, we became more than survivors. We became keepers of stories, of memory, of fire. The stars will never forget what we did, because we carved it into every planet, every fleet, every signal. One message, clear, unchanging: we are human, we remember. And when you cry out in the dark, we answer with fire.